Hello everyone and welcome to a review of 2016 and us looking into 2017. I'm Robby Myles.
I'm TJT.
And yes, that's right, the paper stack, because we don't have papers today.
We don't have papers today. We've upgraded.
Yes. Technology, man, technology. So, we're here today. We're going to be talking to you about some of the things we looked at, some of the categories we saw that we want to talk about for 2016.
The year in review.
Yes, the year in review. In addition to that, we'll be talking to you all about some of the things that we're looking forward to in 2017 as well.
That will come in the next video.
Yes, in the next video. Oh, don't drop that. So,
cheap bottles.
So TJT, you lead the way.
All right. So first category we're gonna have is SVR. Many of you who have played the video games will know that this is SmackDown versus Raw. So overall, since the brand split, let's only go since the brand split. Since the brand split, who has won the brand war, SmackDown Live or Raw? Robby Myles, what do you think?
I'm going to have to go with SmackDown Live. Just great storylines, great wrestlers, more enjoyable to watch than Raw, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go with SmackDown Live. That's the way to go.
I also have to go with SmackDown Live because they have more focus. That is the thing with me. It's not to say that SmackDown Live is perfect. They're definitely not. They have made mistakes just like Raw has made. I know all marks on the internet are all going like, your SmackDown Live is so much better than Raw. But it's only because it's a little bit more focused. That's where they make just as many mistakes. So, the next category, we're going to be flying through these because we have tons of categories for the year in review for 2016. The next category being, what was best for business in 2016? What business choice? What was the right call for WWE in 2016? Robby Myles, what do you think?
I'm about to say starting the new era. When they did it at Payback, it was nice to know that, okay, just like they did with the Attitude Era, it was the idea that here comes a new change, just like you guys want. And I think since that new era changed, we've got to see so many matches that you would think that they would wait or drag out until WrestleMania that we're not able to see at events like Battleground. You know, so it's great. It's been great, and I have to say that's one of the best decisions they made.
For me, I have to go with the CWC. It's bringing in new talent, new eyes to the product, and it's switching things up. And we've seen them sort of continue that with the recent UK tournament that was just that they just did this weekend. They're going to do a women's tournament, and I think it's great for them to kind of experiment like this. And it's getting away from their tried and true formula, their way of doing things, and it's giving us a taste of what it may be like when Vince McMahon inevitably, eventually, is going to have to pass the reins, most likely to Paul Levesque, Mr. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H. So, and that'll be an interesting day. Next, moving on, obviously we had the best for business. What was the worst for business in 2016? Robby Myles, what do you got? It's
funny you brought up Triple H, because I'll say the worst thing for business was the Triple H versus Roman Reigns feud. I think it was
the whole feud.
Well, not the whole feud. I think the main event of WrestleMania, or putting the title as part of the feud, will probably be the worst for business. I think because it became a predictable situation from Seth Rollins being injured all the way until WrestleMania. It became very predictable on how their rivalry was going to work out. So yes, I'm going to have to say that was the worst.
So you would have liked it better if the title wasn't involved?
Yeah, because I think that they had enough animosity or enough of a rivalry where like they didn't have to have the title involved, and someone else could have got another title opportunity rather than Roman now having what?
He's I think a 3-time champion.
4-time champion.
No, he's 3-time world heavyweight champion. WWE world heavyweight champion.
Yes. So yeah. It's a bit much. So that's how I say it's worse for business. How about you?
For me, worse for business has to be in the same vein, when the same idea as you, is the big 4 pay-per-views. All 4 of them were they were weird. They were really weird in 2016. All 4 of the big 4 pay-per-views for some reason or another. Now, arguably, it's weird to say that probably the most probably from like a critical standpoint, from a fan perspective, probably the most successful was Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Which is weird to say. It definitely wasn't WrestleMania. Definitely wasn't the Royal Rumble. And SummerSlam had great moments, and we'll get to some of those later on, but Survivor Series was a little bit more consistent, and they had more moments, and it was just... But even with that, all four of the big four pay-per-views, they don't have a lot of the best matches of the year. They don't have a lot of the best... They weren't the best put-together shows, and they just felt off, which is weird because they're the big four. They're what WWE is pushing to all year long. So, yeah, for me, that was worse for business. Moving right along. This is a personal thing for either me or for Robby Myles here. The theme of 2016. This was the constant... It was either something we were constantly saying over and over again in 2016, or it was just a running idea, a running feeling throughout 2016. So, Robby Myles?
I have to say that mine would be changing traditions. I think this was a definite year of things being different than what they're supposed to be, especially in the past, 5 to 10 years of wrestling that we've seen. It's like this year was just different things. It was like things we go, whoa, we never thought we would see that or that would happen. And it's nice. It was nice. It was refreshing. So I would have to say that the theme that they were going with was changing traditions. Is one of my things that I would say. So.
For me, I think of guys, it all goes back to like, I think of guys like Rusev, I think of guys like Cesaro, I think of guys like Sami Zayn, I think of guys like Neville. All these guys are so talented. Bray Wyatt, all these guys are so talented. They have so much potential. They're so multifaceted. There's so much to them. And the fans are behind them, but they ain't really doing much. And my theme of 2016 is pull the trigger. Pull the trigger, for God's sakes. We got to start making new stars. We can't keep reaching back to Goldberg, to Brock Lesnar, to Triple H, to Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. Like, we can't keep going back for that star power. We have to start making it now. And it's really epitomized in the fact that Kevin Owens has been Universal Champion since like the second week after SummerSlam. He's been champion for a while and he doesn't feel like a big deal. Why? Because they're not investing in him. They're not investing in the guy. And that, to me, was the theme of 2016 that maybe would have seen us through some of the other issues if you just invest in the current superstars, invest in the current talent. So that was my theme of 2016, which was pull the trigger. Pull the trigger, guys. All right, now we're going into our sort of individual superstar categories. First of which is the brass ring category. This is a superstar that maybe started 2016 not in the best place or somehow found themselves not in a very good place and made the most of it. Reached for that Vincent K. McMahon brass ring. You gotta reach for it, damn it. You gotta make it known that you want it.
Well, I'm gonna. My superstar is gonna have to be the one and only Dolph Ziggler. I think just a wrestler who just had a really shitty time in WWE and like as the year got on, he was able to receive different opportunities to make himself, the star that he should be. But still, he still made it through. He still fought through, and I think someone who's been treated so shitty, I think he did such a good job at making it through, in my opinion. So I'm gonna have to go with Dolph Ziggler as my choice for a brass ring superstar. So. And
on the opposite end of that, it's very poetic. I have to go with The Miz. He started off the year somewhat irrelevant, somewhat as just like another guy in the background. We were wondering why WWE kept putting the title and like why they kept investing in him, why they took the title off Zack Ryder so quick. Poor Zack. Poor Zack. And then, you know, that promo and everything afterward, and you just started to realize, yes, The Miz has actually been a fantastic heel. He's been a fantastic character. He's very much become a great worker in the ring. Put on fantastic matches with Robby Myles, brass ring superstar Dolph Ziggler, back to back to back. And he's been a delightful surprise in 2016. And I'm interested to see where they take him going forward in 2017. Sure. So now on the opposite end, we have those superstars that just couldn't make something good out of a really bad situation. This is the buried alive category. So this is going to be a superstar or woman or team who just got the short end of the stick. Robby Myles, who do you got and why?
Let me find it.
So for my buried alive, I'm actually going to go with a tag team. I'm actually going to go with the Club because why? Because why? The booking for the Club has been so weird and terrible and 50-50 and half-assed and just crappy.
I found my answer. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, the booking for the Club has just been odd because they came in as the hottest thing in the world, had all this momentum from Japan, and just the smart fans knew them, the casual fans, you know, they came in like sort of reminiscent of the Nexus, how they came in I think 2010, or 2011, I can't remember. But they had all this momentum and then just because of New Day, because of New Day's record. And if anyone suffered for it,
I was on a New Day thing, sorry.
If anyone suffered for it the most, it was the Club. You just saw all their heat just go all over, and now they're just wandering around and without anything to do. So that's my buried alive.
I'd say my buried alive, we brought his name up earlier, is the one and only Zack Ryder. I feel someone who you thought WWE was going to go, hey, here we go, and then you saw it happen live. Like you saw literally the next day they put the dirt right on top.
The dream crushed.
And then that SmackDown, they put the dirt even on top even more. And then when you got back on NXT, they put the dirt on top of it even more. And then it just got bad real quick. So I have to go with Zack Ryder. It's a poor spirit, poor man. But that's my choice.
All right. Next, we have a category that I think ordinarily you'd have a lot to pick from, but this year didn't really have a lot of, at least not any notable ones. This is the Turncoat Award. This is the Turncoat category where we talk about the heel or face turns that stood out, or I guess the best heel or face turn of the year. Robby Myles, who do you got?
I have to go with Seth Rollins. I feel that when you look at WWE's choice of like who they want to push as a face and a heel, you notice that a lot of times the fans are against it. Or like, no, this is not what we want. I feel like Seth Rollins is one of the ones we finally were like, okay, thank you for finally turning him face. Thank you for finally listening to us for once. So I have to go with Seth Rollins for that category.
And I am going to actually go with AJ Styles. It wasn't, ironically, a phenomenal turn. In terms of that, like, he just had two really high-profile babyface matches against Roman Reigns, and then all of a sudden, oh, John Cena's back, he's a heel. So it was just kind of like, oh, okay, he's a heel, but it did provide us with, or at least certain fans, with a very cathartic moment of beating the crap out of John Cena, and then going up the right, you know what, no, and then going back and then beating up John Cena some more, and then, all right, I'm cool. You know what, I'm going to go back into it.
Do it again.
So I'm going to go with AJ Styles for that one. Next, we have Woman of the Year. This is pretty self-explanatory. So, Robby Myles, who do you got?
I have to go with my girl Sasha Banks.
Of course.
I think she is one of my favorite woman stars of the year, and I understand that they've been really trying to push Charlotte, but I think Sasha is the one. I think Sasha is the best, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go with my girl Sasha Banks.
And I'm not going to play the theme song this time because I know from last video that we'll get flagged if we do that. So.
Thanks.
Me and YouTube have a storied relationship. But my Woman of the Year, again, on the opposite side, I got to go with Charlotte. Just in terms of consistency. Charlotte has been on top since WrestleMania, and she's been a good villain. She's developed as we've sort of went along. She's got better. There's no denying her talent in the ring. Could she be better on the mic? Yeah, but at the same time, so could Sasha Banks, and so could Bayley. But that's fine. But her persona is a persona that you do want to see her get taken down a peg. She's sort of like the female Miz. She's a good heel character, and that some people genuinely don't like her. So, honestly, if we're talking about 2016, if we're talking about the women's division, if we're talking about the women's revolution, one name you gotta have in that mix, along with Sasha Banks, is Charlotte. My pick for Woman of the Year 2016. And we're going to go straight into Team of the Year.
The Tag Team of the Year has to go to the obvious team, New Day. New Day was the dominant team, breaking records all over. So I can't not say that. They're one of the greatest teams around. And though they're not champions anymore, I can't wait to see what WWE has in store for them for the 2017 future, honestly. So,
I actually heard rumors are going to break them up.
Yeah, they've been talking about that.
Which is, I actually wouldn't mind because they're all really talented. So this is one case where it's like, okay,
yeah,
all right,
we'll see.
I want to see Xavier Wood go for a title. My pick for Team of 2016 is your record-breaking WWE World Tag Team Champions, New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks. All right. Before we get flagged.
Right.
So, and that's self-explanatory. So, picks for Superstar of the Year. Robby Myles.
The current WWE champion, AJ Styles. I mean, talk about a superstar who had an outstanding year, starting from the Royal Rumble all throughout the year of them.
Started from the Rumble, now we're here.
Now we're here. He's champion. A now WWE product is now, in a sense, leading the company right now as the WWE champion. And it's an amazing thing to see. So I'm going to have to go with AJ Styles, the Superstar of the Year.
And I'm also going to have to go with the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. Oh, wait, no. Let me do it as the SmackDown announcer likes to go. He who would like to be announced as the face that runs the place. It's so corny when he does it.
And he's just like, I'm like, so many other things.
AJ Styles! Alright, so now we're going to talk about Breakout Star of 2016. This could be somebody that debuted. This could be somebody that had debuted late 2015 and was still relatively new. But Breakout Star 2016, Robby Myles, who you got?
I know this is usually a person, but I have to go with a team.
Ooh.
And go with American Alpha. Such a great team. Seeing them first form all the way to the end of the year, them beating the Wyatt family to become the new tag team champions, which is awesome to see. And I'm excited to see some of the things they have coming up this year for this team. So I'm going to have to go with American Alpha. It's such a great team, in my opinion.
And keeping with our last pick, I'm going to have to stay on the phenomenal AJ Styles. A ridiculously good first year, despite a questionable loss to Chris Jericho at WrestleMania, his WrestleMania debut. But hey, it ended all right. He's the champ that runs the camp. It's okay. So now we have a category hashtag and new, where we talk about the best title change of 2016. Robby Myles, who you got?
I stick with my breakout star and go with American Alpha. Again, I was excited to see them win the tag team champions at the end of the year after such a great year they've had. And like I said, I think that's one of the best title changes that I was really excited about, to just like my heart to be so full, So I'm gonna have to go with American Alpha.
I'll give you props. That one was actually unpredictable. It was actually shocking to see them win those titles on the last SmackDown in 2016. For me, I'm gonna actually have to go to NXT. Hashtag and new. Hashtag DIY at TakeOver Toronto in the 2 out of 3 falls match. Some would say it's the best match of the year or one of the best matches of the year. I'll tell you what, it was a damn good match.
Good matches. Of course, no surprise coming from NXT, but yes, I would have to agree. That was one very good tag team match. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. All right, so now we have MVT, the most valuable title. What was the most important title of 2016? Now, you may be thinking, oh, well, clearly it's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or it's the Universal Championship. It has to be a main event championship. Well, you gotta think of the whole year. You gotta think of the stock of the championship for the whole year, how it's been presented, who held it, how prestigious did it feel, because there have definitely been some years where the main title was not that prestigious. So, Robby Myles, who do you have, or I should say, what do you have for the MVT of 2016?
I'm going to have to go with the women's title. It was exciting to see them announce at the WrestleMania pre-show that it was going to become, like, after that match, it was going to become the women's title. It was exciting, and since then, it's lived up to expectations. Even it's splitting to having its own Raw and SmackDown brand title, still the women's title, it helped define and grow the women's division much more. So I have to go with the women's title.
And I actually also have to agree. I'm going with the women's championship. It was just from its debut at WrestleMania. It was a great debut. It was a great first match. The match of the night for the newly unveiled women's championship. You can argue maybe the wrong person won it, but that title has seemed as one of the biggest things of 2016, largely in part to something I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. But for right now, let's move on to our next category. I'm back and better than ever. Okay. This is the I'm back category, where we talk about the, of course, return of the year, or debut, but largely return of the year. Robby Myles, who you got?
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, 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 dollar.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shane McMahon making the return of the year. How off our seats we all were. I'm telling you, I can't think of an article beforehand or anything that had that coming. You know, sometimes you go like, oh, I knew this was coming or whatever. When that music hit, no one knew. I don't care what anyone says. No one knew. No one knew. I don't care what anyone says. No one knew. No one. Yeah, I don't think Vince even knew till that morning. You know?
And if you claim you knew, guess what? You're a big phony!
It's like, No one knew. The best return. And some of the, God, just some of the, just now didn't, lead to the best WrestleMania match.
No.
But just him returning was just like, you just saw hope. You saw like, oh, there's a good chance something, until they announced the match. And it was like, okay. So I'm going to have to go with Shane O'Mac.
And I'm going to have to agree with you. Shane McMahon, when that music hit, that moment was fantastic. Everything that followed, except for the WrestleMania match, was fantastic. And you know what? The WWE is better for having Shane O'Mac back. As the evidence is right in SmackDown Live. So, and the brand split. So, now we're moving on to Botch of the Year. Now, this is going to be, it can be basically anything. It could be a business decision. It could be a superstar being mishandled. It could be a match that was mishandled. Maybe they had a lot of buildup and it was just, nah. It could be anything in the year of 2016 that had all the potential in the world and then just botched it up. Just, ugh. It's going to end up on Botchamania. Robby Myles, what you got?
Speaking of Botchamania, I'm going to have to say WrestleMania 32 was the Botch of the Year. Just a show that, they had to lift so much expectations. And then you see all these matches, except the main event match. And you go, this looks like this is going to be a nice event.
Even the main event match, like, those are two good wrestlers. It just wasn't at the right time under the right circumstances.
Just not a good show. No. Just a very long 5-hour WrestleMania.
Oh my God, yeah.
And just not good. I'm going to have to go with WrestleMania 32. And I'm going to pray to the Lord above that WrestleMania 33 doesn't take the same footsteps.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But my pick for Botch of the Year is something that shouldn't have been as bad as it was, and it's still bad, and we're still seeing how bad it is. Because it's very clear, you see what it could be just the next night. You see exactly what it could be on the next night. My Botch of the Year for 2016 is the Raw creative team. Because, Lord have mercy, when that draft happened, everyone was like, Raw's got all the best people. I mean, clearly Raw won the draft. Raw's going to be the best show to watch. And then they just effed it up. They've been effing it up every single week. It's a miracle when they're on the same level as SmackDown Live. The Raw creative team, when you have basically the same match with the same, interchange the same effing 4 people in the main event, that's just sad. It's sad. And you know what? That Raw creative team also handled probably, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but it also mishandled Sasha and Charlotte to a certain extent. It was still great, but let's be real, we all know that could have been a lot better. We all know that could have been booked a lot better. But so my Botch of the Year for 2016 is the Raw creative team. And so for our next category, we're going to go with Oh my God! Oh my God! The OMG moment of the year. This is pretty self-explanatory. The Slammies have this pretty much every year. They have the Slammies. So, Robby Myles, what you got for OMG moment of the year?
I'm going to say the brand split. I think it was part of the changing tradition things where we thought that it wasn't going to happen. I think it's always been a talk of if they bring it back, but they're not going to, and then they did, and it was just oh shit, it's back. it was like an effect of Shane's back, and then this happened, and then a brand split happened. It just a lot of things just happening. It was like whoa. So I'm gonna have to go with the brand split being my OMG moment of the year. What about you, TJT?
How long do you think it takes? How long do you microwave a bag of popcorn for?
I just pressed the popcorn button to 3.5 and press start.
So about
about 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
That lasted longer than Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. Are you kidding me? Now this is an OMG moment for a lot of reasons. It's an OMG moment for the mere fact that we saw the match with Goldberg being AWOL from WWE forever. The fact that he's like 50 years old. The fact that Brock Lesnar has, I mean, last time we saw Brock Lesnar, he had like demolished Randy Orton in a heap of his own blood. So it was an OMG moment in and of itself. And then the match, it's just like, you can just get up to take a piss and the match is over. Like, what? No. What? No. And the result of the match was an OMG moment. Goldberg squashes Brock Lesnar, the Brock Lesnar, and it just, the end of Survivor Series left all of us just like, what now? What are you gonna do now? So yeah, that's my pick for OMG moment of the year. So now our next category is I marked out. This is our personal moment of the year where we became kids again. It was just like you just got up and you cheered and you screamed, or if you were like me and you were watching in the basement of your grandma's house, then you were just. So, what is your I marked out moment?
I marked out when the main event of Battleground was the triple threat match between the Shield. It was what we've all been waiting for so long. We got to see, the fatal 4-way match with those three involved, but like just those three, and then the main event, and then for the WWE title.
Right before the brand split.
Yeah, right before the brand split. Like literally, like the brand split happened, and then it was like, this is the last time all these wrestlers might face each other again. It was just nice. It was heartwarming. It was just, I don't know what it was.
Then Roman almost messed it up.
You know.
Almost.
Of course, he came back right on time. But it just, my heart was filled, and I was so happy when I was able to see arguably one of the greatest stables of all time finally come together to compete against each other for the richest prize in the wrestling world today. So I might say that triple threat match with the Shield.
And just like Rob mentioned earlier, that was like a WrestleMania main event caliber match. So we got a battleground.
What?
So my pick for the I marked out moment is also involving the Shield, because isn't the Shield great? They are. I marked out at Survivor Series. We got just a little taste of a Shield reunion, and it was so great. It was all the stars aligned. It was the perfect amount of events. It made sense. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel manufactured. It felt like organically. It was just a moment. Like a moment that you saw in like the Attitude Era. And it was just, I loved it. I loved it so much. In a match that was God long.
Hour long.
That moment gave me life. That was like probably like 30-some minutes into that match when that happened. That picked me back up. I was like, all right, let's do it. I'm good.
Do it now.
So now we move on to our next category, the Feud of the Year. Now this is pretty self-explanatory. So Robby Myles, who do you have for Feud of the Year?
I'm going to have to say John Cena versus AJ Styles. It was nice to finally see one of the biggest wrestlers of all time versus the biggest wrestler and the biggest company's star player. Finally facing off one-on-one. That whole feud of 2016 was awesome, and the fact that it's continuing is even more exciting to see. And I have to say that it was one of the feuds of the year. It was something that when they first stepped foot in the ring together, and we all knew it was going to happen. As soon as AJ Styles came out, I think a smile grew on my face, and I was like, finally, like, we waited for years for this, and we got to see this match at Money in the Bank, and then turn around and see it at SummerSlam. Now we get to see it at the Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship now. Like, come on, guys, come Come on, this is great. This is great. I'm going to have to say John Cena versus AJ Styles.
And I'm going to have to go ahead and say Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. Now, I know I had my gripes about it earlier when I was talking about the Raw Creative Team. But even with the Raw Creative Team not really booking it properly, this was just a good feud that went most of the year between two really talented individuals that were taking their entire division on their back and going, you know what? I got this. Let's do it. And it felt awesome. There were stakes the whole way. The Hell in a Cell match, the Falls Count Anywhere match, the Iron Man match. They had so many great matches. And they had great matches on Raw and on pay-per-views, which is just, it's like every time they stepped into a ring together one-on-one, it was awesome. It had the feeling like this is probably one of the closest times in recent memory that WWE has come to creating legitimate stars again. So it was just exciting. It was just exciting. So now we move on to our main event. Of course, it is match of the year 2016. Robby Myles, what you got?
There were a lot of great matches in 2016. Just like there are always good matches, every year. But the match that stood out to me, that stands out to this day, is the Fatal 4-Way match at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Champion. The Miz versus Cesaro versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Man, I was on the edge of my seat. The edge of my seat. First of all, a really good pay-per-view in general, except for that match between Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho. But that Fatal 4-Way match, I've never seen a match steal a show like that match did. And that match left me speechless. It was such a good match. And so I'm going to have to say that Fatal 4-Way match at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Champion, where we saw The Miz walk out as champion, honestly. So that's my pick for match of the year.
Proving just how valuable he was.
Yeah.
So, for me, for match of the year 2016, I got to be predictable. I'm sorry. I got to be predictable and say John Cena versus AJ Styles at SummerSlam, because this was the epitome of a match that just summed up, okay, this is what WWE should do, but will they do it? And lo and behold, yes, they pulled the trigger. If they pulled the trigger on anybody in 2016, it was AJ Styles, which I'm shocked. I think all of us are kind of shocked still, looking at like, wow, really? AJ Styles, finally. And you know what? Dude looks like $1 million in the WWE. The match was just storytelling brilliance. It was two guys in the it's still in the prime of their careers that know how to go with the best of them. Now, Robby Myles said the first time that these two guys stepped into a ring together at Money in the Bank, we knew it was going to be good. I mean, really, if you think about it, John Cena thrives when he's in the ring with somebody that's the best. If we all recall the time he stepped into the ring with the best in the world at a Money in the Bank, instant match of the year. So if that was here, him and AJ Styles was going to be like,
right there.
And of course, it delivered, and I can't wait for the match again at 2017's Royal Rumble. So, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If we do this again at the end of 2017, what categories do you think we missed that we should have for next time? Thank you to all of our friends and family and all of our fans out there. If we have any fans, if we're developing new fans, for watching this and supporting us. Thank you so much. Until next time, I'm TJT.
I'm Robby Myles.
And this has been the Year in Review, the breakdown for 2016.
Breakdown!